Hi, I am Kentagian, and today we're going to do something a bit different. I'm actually going to be doing an unboxing and review. I don't often do these types of things on my channel. The last time I did was when I got my new laptop, and this time it's an item that's just as special. So here it is. We're going to be doing the unboxing and review of my new... Oh my god. Break it before I even get it. My new Acer Predator monitor. This thing is a beast. A 27-inch 1440p monitor capable of a 165 Hz refresh rate and a 4 millisecond response time. So let's get it open. As you guys might recall, I had a Yamakasi Cat Leap Q270SE, and I really loved that monitor. It was also 1440p. It didn't really have a really fast response time, but the image quality on it was absolutely astoundingly good. And I replaced it with my present BenQ XL2411Z, which is an amazing monitor for gaming, but the color reproduction on it is terrible, and even though it does a good job of mitigating the fact that it's a 6-bit panel and you get a lot of dithering, it does a good job mitigating it, but I can still see it, and it's just been bugging me a lot, so I kind of went overboard and got this. So, as is my normal luck, while I was doing the unboxing, I must have clicked on my mouse by accident because it stopped recording. So that said, the unboxing is complete, but I'll show you guys everything. We have our power cable, we have our input cable, digital, it's not DVI, it's HDCP, no, that's the, I don't know what it's called, because I'm an idiot, but you got 2 of those, so that's cool. And of course, for reasons, a USB cable. I'll find out why that is shortly enough. And then, of course, we have our mounting hardware here. We have this, the base. This might look like it's plastic, but it's actually metal. It's a finished surface, so the color might be questionable to some, but the quality of it is not questionable. It's a very high quality surface here. They're not cutting on costs with this. And then we have our actual mount where it will rest. This is capable of portrait and landscape, so I should just be able to turn this here, but I can't, so we won't futz with it just yet. So yeah, I'll get it all hooked up and show you what it's like. And then, of course, we have the panel itself. This panel is borderless on the sides. It has a very, very thin border, so if you wanted to do NVIDIA Surround or AMD iFinity or whatever it's called, you could. This monitor is in direct competition with the Asus ROG Swift P279Q, so it's very similar. I'll get into why I chose this monitor in the review portion of the video, but that's it for the unboxing. Sorry it cut out, go freaking figure, that would happen to me. But I'll see you in the review when I've used it a little bit and have more experience with it. Okay, so you guys just saw the worst unboxing that ever took place on YouTube, probably. I'm going to try and make this review better than the unboxing was. It's my first time doing anything like this, so it's going to be rocky either way. I have my little cheat sheet, going to be going by it. Let's get her done. The monitor itself is an Acer Predator XB271HU. It is a 27-inch IPS panel, 2560 by 1440 resolution, 4 millisecond gray-to-gray response time. It features ultra-low motion blur, also known as ULMB, and NVIDIA G-Sync technology. It has a borderless panel on the sides and top, as well as a USB 3.0 hub. So it's packing some features. And a little bit of history, I actually was an early adopter of 1440p panels. Back in 2012, I got a Yamakasi Cat Leap, which blew me away. The price was about $330, and it gave you greater than 1080p resolution with an IPS panel, and the colors were amazing. It had a 12 millisecond response time, so it was not very pretty in terms of motion blur, but everything else about it, just, I was blown away, and yeah, it died in November of 2015. I replaced it with a BenQ gaming monitor, the XL2411Z, which was a great monitor for gaming, but I also work from home, and it just didn't work out for me. The TN panel was a big downgrade from an IPS panel. The colors, which would wash out at higher refresh rates, were a big downgrade as well. And overall, I just wanted that screen resolution back So I saved my pennies and I got this. That said, right now I'm going to say the monitor itself is 120 Hz and overclockable to 165. We'll get to that. Or it's 144, overclockable to 165. I can only run it at 120 because I am running a GeForce GTX 670. So, all impressions will have that in mind. Thank you. So, first impressions, the colors are beautiful. That was what I was most worried about, and it was a worry that was not well placed because, oh my god, it looks great. The display itself has a matte coating. It is not glossy. Despite that, it has the brilliance of any glossy display I've seen. I'm very impressed by it. It also has the Srgb color spectrum, or so it says, full 100%. Based on the lagom.nl site, I was able to see every color on the gradients, so it's good enough for me. I'm not doing discerning enough work to notice it, but basically it looks freaking good. Secondly, it's really fast. The 4 millisecond response time, easily noticeable. It's almost as fast as my erstwhile BenQ. If you do the testufo.com website, with ultra low motion blur on, I'm able to see all of the dots on the alien's spaceship as well as his eyes. But it's not quite as clear at 120 Hz as the BenQ was at 120 with its motion blur reduction on. That said, the difference was very small. What else? It's worth noting that even though it is borderless on the sides and top, there is a 5mm or 0.2 inch area of just blackness. It's not a big deal. It's still smaller than pretty much any monitor bezel will be, so this monitor is great if you want to do Eyefinity or NVIDIA Surround or anything cool like that. Another complaint a lot of people have about IPS monitors, and this one in particular, at least the Acer version of it, is that there is backlight bleed. I see next to none of it. I think I got lucky on that front. The picture I'm showing you actually overstates it a ton. If I turn off all the lights in the room and I'm staring and looking for it, I can see a tiny bit on the bottom left of the screen. Not enough to make any sort of difference in practical use. Let's talk about the technologies in this monitor. Ultra-low motion blur is great. It produces the same artifacts as any motion blur reduction technology. I mean, it's going to strobe the backlight and create an artifact based on that, but when you're gaming, you're really not going to notice it. It's not that pronounced. That said, I do wish you could adjust the strobe. You could on the BenQ, and if you could on this, you could kind of mitigate and change the artifacts to your liking. But again, this is a minor gripe. And G-Sync, I have a little bit more to say about that. Since I have a GTX 670, I got to test out G-Sync pretty thoroughly, because naturally the old card causes frame rates to drop quite a bit in some games, and I like my settings kind of high. That said, my impression of G-Sync is that it makes lower frame rates feel like higher frame rates. Frame rates between 120 and 80 feel almost the same. It's buttery smooth, and you don't get that feeling of slowness that you might get because the monitor is refreshing so much faster than the video card. And it's just a great feeling. Even at lower frame rates, like down to 50 frames a second, you can tell it's starting to drop and that it's less smooth, but the inputs are just very crisp and instant. And it's a great feeling. So gaming even at lower refresh rates while you're dealing with a monitor like this, you want them to be high, but it's tolerable and it's enjoyable. So I'm actually really, really impressed. The on-screen display, people have complained about it. I think it's fine. It does take a bit to navigate and can be a little bit confusing. However, you're not going to be using it on a day-to-day basis. And it allows you to have preset settings that you can access very quickly. You get 3 of them, so I give it points for that because I have a setting for ultra-low motion blur mode, which increases the brightness all the way, given that that technology dims the screen, and the regular old G-Sync mode because that will brighten it back up. So I can switch between those very quickly. I think the OSD is fine. It's not a problem for me, and it gives you 6-axis color adjustment if you really need to fine-tune your colors. So, if I were to have a couple gripes about this monitor, my number one gripe right now would be that it has 2 dead pixels. It didn't have them when I got it. About 2 weeks in, they just appeared. And I was like, oh, it must be dust again. Take my microfiber cloth, wipe, still there. Oh god. And there's not much I can do about it. They're off to the side. I used a strobe tool to try to fix it, and it didn't do anything, unfortunately. And, you know, I could return it, I could exchange it, but I don't really feel like doing so. It's a lot of work, and it's not something I can't deal with. Considering the low backlight bleed, I think I'm just going to deal with it. That said, when you pay what you pay for these monitors, it really stinks when you have to know that you have a dead pixel or two. Other gripes, the blue light that displays when the monitor is on is a bit bright even when you have it dimmed, but that's minor. You're not going to really pay much attention to it unless maybe you're playing a horror game, then it could possibly get distracting. And the lack of strobe adjustment on ultra-low motion blur. Apart from that, this is a great monitor. Again, my opinion is that of it at 120 Hz. The overclocking that you can do is via the OSD. It's just a setting to turn it on, and you can set the refresh rate higher in 5 Hz increments, so it's basically a turbo mode. It's not really overclocking. I don't know why it's even there. It should just be on all the time. When I can set it to 165, I will give an updated opinion, but I'm sure I'll be even more blown away. At 120, it's fantastic. I imagine at 165 there'll be even less motion blur, even more smoothness. I think given the 45 Hz gap, I'll notice a difference. I'm pretty sensitive to these things. But yeah, very great monitor. That said, it's not a cheap monitor. This monitor will cost you between high 700s and low 800s in terms of US dollars. And is it worth it? I think so. I sit in front of this thing all day long, almost every day, and I work in front of it and I play games in front of it. So, for me, it's worth it. For you, it might not be, and you need a beefy computer to use it at its full potential. But that said, there are also other considerations. The monitor market is constantly evolving. 4K monitors with ever-increasing refresh rates are coming out, but you need the hardware to run those as well. And there are the ultra-wide monitors, which aren't really my thing, but might be yours. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap this up. Thank you for watching. Please let me know what you think about the monitor, about the video, about my content in general, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. So there you have it, my full opinion of the Acer Predator XB271HU. I can't wait to have an actual good 2016 graphics card, the 1080, to test this monitor's real limits, but so far it's been a blast. That said, we're at the part of the video where I sell myself, so if you liked it, please click the like button, and if you think it might be helpful to anyone, please share it with them. Also, if you want to see a video of me unboxing something else, click here. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't, if you want to see more of my content. I intend to do more hardware reviews in the future. So yeah, see you guys next time.